Morning, gifted crafters. It's crafting time.
Worries on my mind, it's been a tough week. My life feels a void. There's something that I need. My supplies on the table, I grab a comfy seat. I need to craft to put my mind at ease. Crafting changed my life, it mends my soul. In my happy space, I'm in full control. It's crafting time, craft my troubles away. Give me a world of color to brighten up my day. Crafting videos on, searching what I can do. Sipping on my drink, feeling inspired and new.
Live from the Sunshine State in Miami, Florida, here is the Gifted Crafters Morning Show with Nancy.
Good time. Ooh, time to get our craft on. Ooh, time to have fun. Ooh, time to feel good.
Good morning, Gifted Crafters, and welcome back to the Gifted Crafters Morning Show. Good morning out there. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. I am tuning in from Miami, Florida, and my name is Nancy with GiftsHQ. So if you're tuning in for the first time, welcome. This is a channel that we talk about all things crafting, from sewing, knitting, crocheting, decoupage, and so much more. We touch upon every single type of craft, and we like to share all kinds of tips, tricks, and ideas, and we do all sorts of things. We just like to kind of sit back and have some fun. So if that's something that you're looking to do, then you're definitely in the right place. Go ahead and say hello in the chat and let us know if you're here for the first time, because we are very welcoming and we would love to have you here. Now, if you're watching this on the replay, well, leave a little comment, because we'd like to know that you were there and we will reach out for you next time. Okay, so let's see who we have joining us today. I see Joyce Adams and Batita. Good morning. We've got Jenny Owens. Hello there. We've got Robin's Quilt Basket. We've got Faker McFake, Lisa Lilly. Let's see, Crafting on a Dime with Che. Good morning to you. All right, you're driving to work and you'll join the chat when you get there. Awesome. Well, stay safe and be careful out there. Okay, we've got JBL from Alabama, and of course our friends from Canada is here. Awesome. Thanks for joining. Let's see, we've got Joanna from Wyoming. Good morning to you. All righty, Cindy Ball, good morning. Renee Meyer from Long Island. Oh my gosh, 42 degrees. Yeah, that's chilly. Again, I'm tuning in from Miami, Florida, so we've got the AC running and it's kind of a little bit hot out there. It's very humid, I can say. Definitely humid. All righty. Okay, so guys, it's going to be an interesting day today, because I'm going to let you know that I was up late again last night, yet again. Me and Miss Molly had our little time yesterday, and you know, we had a long night, but we had a fun night. We popped in the CD and we got most of it done. So it was a fun night. So it's now TGIF, right? So here we are, Friday, yay. And we are ready to kind of reveal what I have so far, and I'm going to try to finish it up with you on the live. So if you're not sure what project I'm talking about, we have been working on the it's the Moda Love quilt. It's a 32 by 32 inch finish, and it's a really nice charm quilt. This is kind of the black and white picture of it here. And you'll see my little check marks on the side of it as I was moving along, just kind of sewing my rows, and then I was starting to put the whole thing together. We've been working on this quilt all week and had a little bit of a redo there as we were using a charm pack that had just a little bit too much busyness in the design. And so when we put it together and laid it out, I wasn't too happy with the way it looked. And so, we ended up kind of changing the fabric and basically doing a restart. And so we made a really good choice because I really love the way it came out. It's really starting to take shape, and you can really see how the star pops out once you put it all together. So I'll show you guys that in just a minute. Yay, Lisa Friday. Yes, we had a fantastic day because it's Friday now. Yay. And we get to have the weekend to play in the craft room. Yay. Alrighty. I'm such a terrible host. Where are my manners? Every single live, we start off our day with our toast. And here I am ramping and raging about the quilt. So let me go ahead and everyone raise your glasses. And it doesn't matter what you have, coffee, tea, soda, water, whatever it is you have in the morning, there is absolutely no judgment in this craft room. So raise your glasses, and if you don't have one, I will pour you a cup. So let's go ahead and raise those glasses, and let's have a toast to a fantastic day and a wonderful weekend for everyone. So hope you guys enjoy your weekend and get some sewing done. Alrighty, swivel time. Yes, I think I may do a double today. Yes, Robin's Quilt Basket. Cheers. Yay. Cheers, everyone. Yay. Okay. Oh, that feels really good. I love to have my water in the morning with some ice. Really feels good going down. Alrighty. Yay. Good morning, Flo. Yes, coffee for her. Okay, no problem. Marina from Charlotte, North Carolina, good morning to you. And Linda M, happy Friday to you as well. Okay, so we've got our drink, and of course we got to get our little snacks. We've got to get ourselves woken up this morning because I'm feeling a little tired and I'm not sure. I'm not quite there yet, so I think I need a snack, don't you? All right, let's go over to get our snacks. Let's roll out that food truck because it's Friday. We got to roll out the food truck, and we might have something a little special going on there. I'm not sure what Mr. H, you know, he always whips something up. So we've got our standard stuff, you know, we've got the biscuits and the coffee, tea, cookies, soda. We've got the muffins, croissants, and don't forget the kale and the carrots for the healthy stuff. I'm just not feeling that healthy stuff today, though. Oh my goodness, that's right. We have our little doggy and cat, and they brought some extra goodies. Oh, perfect. That's exactly what I needed. Now, they don't have any names, so we may need to name our little doggy and cat, and they're going to be bringing us all kinds of little treats every now and then. So we need to find some names for them. We can't just keep calling them dog and cat, right? So if you have any suggestions on the name, go ahead and leave it in the comment because need some names on them. Let's name them because, you know, they're going to be serving us all kinds of snacks soon. So as they do that, you know, we want to be able to kind of, you know, put it in there. And if you're watching the replay and you have a cute little name that we could use, go ahead and put that in the chat. So we'll kind of look at the names and see what we pick for them. So, yay. Yeah, everyone's picking their stuff too. You want to have a doggy cookie, Cindy? Yeah, maybe, you know, maybe that's what they're bringing. Maybe they're bringing the doggy treats because all of us have little pets, right? Some of us have dogs, some of us have cats, some of us have birds, and some even have reptiles. You never know. It could be fish too. They need to have some treats too. I mean, they're in the craft room with us sometimes, right? Alrighty, bobbin and thread for the names. Okay, yeah, that could work too.
Rita always has great ideas.
Yeah, that's a pretty good idea. I think Miss Rach likes that one too. Alrighty, Tom and Jerry. Awesome. They may work, right? You never know. You never know. We got to find that perfect name for them because they'll bring all kinds of snacks and maybe, yeah, they'll bring the doggy treats and the pet treats for our little friends too. Okay. Alrighty. So we've got our drinks. We've got our little snacks. I hope you're in your cozy spot and I hope you're in a safe place to watch. So yay, buttons and bows. Oh, wow. I love that, Lynn. Buttons and bow. That's a cute one. Make doggy cookies for our dog. He's a vegetarian. He's allergic to animal products. Oh, no. We will make all natural doggy treats. Awesome. Okay. Frickin' frack. Awesome. Love it. Okay. So let's get down to business, shall we? Oh, they may keep the gremlins away too. Yeah, we hope that is true. Please. That's exactly what we need because we were good yesterday, right? And hopefully we'll stay good today, right? So yeah, no more of that techie issue. We don't like that stuff. Okay. So I think we are ready to get going. We've got one more thing I want to get out to you. I do have a crafting story for you. So let's head on over and look at our crafting news and then we're going to talk all about this quilt. Okay, so let's head over to Grand Junction, Colorado, where the Sunset Slope Quilt Guild is already spreading all kinds of Christmas cheer. Yeah, because we're in October and you know, it's coming around the corner and it's going to hit you as quick as it can. So you better get those projects going. Alrighty. So they are 150 members that came together and sewed 250 handmade stockings for the children in Mesa County's foster care program. Each stocking is lovingly stitched from 8 pieces of fabric, and this long-running tradition has now been going strong for 32 years. They've got nearly 8,000 stockings gifted to kids who might otherwise worry that Santa won't find them. 8,000 stockings. Can you imagine? That's a lot of stockings. Wow. Okay, so the stockings were delivered to the county's Department of Human Services, where the staff shared how meaningful the gifts are, bringing smiles, comfort, and a little Christmas magic to the children who need it the most. And that's just a beautiful reminder that a bit of fabric, thread, and love can make holidays shine just a little bit brighter for someone else. And I really love that story. I think that's absolutely amazing. Okay, yeah, how great is that, isn't it? 8,000 stockings. Can you imagine this desk filled with 8,000 stockings? Hey, Raven, good morning to you. Thanks for joining. Awesome. I mean, that's like blows my mind. 8,000. Like, can you sew 8,000 stockings just yourself? I mean, can you imagine how much time that takes? That's crazy. And to get that many people, was it 250? Quilters together to kind of sew that. That's a lot of coordination and a lot of work. So hats off to them. Awesome. Love that. Okay, so let's talk about this quilt, shall we? Alrighty, so the Moda Love Charm quilt, if you haven't been around, is something that you can download for free. We've got the link in the description. You can go ahead and click on it, and you will get the instructions to make this quilt. It is absolutely free for you to do. You can go ahead and use your stash that you have in your craft room, and I would suggest solids or a subtle, maybe a background that's very subtle, just so that the design itself pops out. As you can see that we used multiple different fabrics, and it just didn't work for them. Okay, so go ahead and use some solids, because you don't want to use these. And yeah, we all know, you know, don't ask me how we know that, right? Because we saw it this week, right? So we've experimented with that, and I guess, you know, that teaches me a lesson to, as I look at the patterns, even though this was a kit that, you know, I purchased, it was a kit with the pattern, right? Even though the pattern was free, but it came with the fabrics, thinking that this was going to, you know, go all well together. But you got to really check those kits sometime, you know, sometimes, and it could have been a mistake. It could have been that they didn't realize this, because that just did not look right. You know, you really need to test things out. You need to look for yourself as you do this. And there's all kinds of programs that you can get out there that will allow you to kind of take a picture of your fabric, right? And then you can, if you have the picture of the design, it will put your fabric into the design so you could see what that looks like before you even cut anything or iron anything or sew anything. So you definitely live and learn, and you have definitely learned our lesson here. But I really love the outcome. I'm so happy that I went ahead and I changed it. So I went ahead and I started to sew all of the rows going across. I managed to get all the rows done. So you see my little check marks here. One thing that I guess it's really organization and being very careful when you're putting this together. As we looked yesterday, when you start, and I'll just use these as an example, when you start putting things together, it's very easy when you are sewing the row. Now for the solids, it really doesn't matter, because, you know, it's a solid, so any way you turn it around, it's not going to matter, right? But for the half square triangles, when you're laying it out and bringing it to your sewing machine and trying to figure out, you know, what you need to do, it's so easy to just like turn this by mistake and then sew it, because you'll do, let's say, right sides together, and let's say you sew it, or you'll sew it the wrong way, and you're gonna have to take your seam ripper and undo it, because it has to be oriented in the correct way. So a lot of them were kind of joining like this, were the little points, right? And so if you, for whatever reason, maybe you did this and you knew you had to sew this, but by the time you got to your machine, you ended up sewing it this way, and so now you are sewing the wrong way. And so very, very easy for that to happen. So be very careful when you lay this out. Have the instructions in front of you. And then also, you know, once you place it together, I would suggest that you pin it so it doesn't move around on you. And then when you open it up, you should make sure that you sewed it in the right direction as well. So then when you're done sewing it and pressing it, bring it back and make sure that, you know, you're in the correct orientation, because it can happen very easily. So lots to look at when you're putting that together. Just be very careful. Try not to get distracted. And if you do, just double check when you get back that you're doing it the right way. Okay. So that's my little tip in that little area, because it can happen and it can be quite frustrating, because this is a very nice and easy quilt. It's a lot of half square triangles, and I think it's very beginner friendly. It teaches you a lot about, you know, one, about color theory, right? We learned about the color theory here. and putting the right fabric with the right project, right? We had our little fail and now we've got something that works a lot better. It's, of course, you're able to practice sewing straight seams. You're practicing half square triangles and how to make those. And then as we do our rows, and I'm going to show you today, you're looking at your pinning when you're putting your rows together and you are now aligning your seams. We talked about how the seams should be ironed in the opposite way so that they nest, right? So you want the seams to be nesting. And so in order to do that, there's pins that you can use and little methods that you can do to make sure that everything lines up as best as you can. So let's take a look at what we have, because we're going to talk about the pinning process and what I did to pull this together. So I have these here. I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got the last 3 rows that I need to put together. So we've got, I think this is the bottom of the star, and you see here how everything is sewn all the way across. Okay, see how this just really stands out. It's just, wow. It's really like stands out so much. You can really see the colors and you can see how this got put together. It's just so bright and really, it's just really awesome. I just really love how the whole design pops up. So this right here is 1 strip. We've got 3 that we need to put together. I have them in this order. And let me grab the last one. Hold on. I've got to open them up. And I have to see which one was which, because now I moved it around. So let's take a look here. I think it is facing me. Okay, yes, this is facing me. So I believe this is the bottom here. So we're looking at the instructions. I've got this one here as the bottom. Then we have this right here will be ahead of it, and I'll turn it around in just a minute. let me get this out of the way here. And then this one goes on top here. Okay, so these are the rows facing me. Now let me turn it around so it faces you, so you're seeing it the right way. There we go. Okay, so this is the bottom of the quilt right here, and I will show you what I've sewn. So those are the 3 remaining rows that need to be put together. Okay, now let me grab what I have already sewed, and I folded it. Let me see if I get it the right way. Hold on. So me and Miss Molly, we were up late yesterday, so I'm hoping I got this right way. Here we go. We had a long night last night, and we had a ton of fun because we had the CD going, and you know, everyone was off to bed, and I was sewing away with Miss Molly, and we were able to make this. Yay! This is what we've got so far. Okay, there we go. Okay, and once we got her put together, I will add these last 3 rows, and she's going to be looking something like this. Yeah, I think keep it on that angle because I don't think they can see it. Yeah, we'll keep it on this angle because I'm not sure they can see it the other way. Let me move this up, and let's try it like that. Yeah, Miss Molly was a busy bee. She was she was just at it last night, you know? And so here it is. I think it's looking really nice. I'm really loving, oh, thank you. Great points. Yay. Yeah, I was really trying to pay attention to it. And that's, you know, it's something that, and let me kind of lay just the top part of it down. It's something that really helps you to keep practicing, is hitting those points, because it can, there's a ton of points on here, so it can be a little tricky, but that's probably going to be the hardest part if you're brand new on hitting all of these points, because there's a lot of them throughout the whole throughout the whole quilt. So there's a lot of points to hit out, a lot of nesting seams. Some seams a little bulky because you've got a lot, you know, going into that one little corner. So it is a little bit bulky. And I know that I had saw a tip somewhere. I can't remember where it was, and I don't remember exactly what it had said. But there was someone, and maybe you guys can help me out there. There was somewhere, I wish I could remember where it was, that it talked about bulky seams where you have where you have a lot of seams meeting together and it feels quite bulky, and what you can do to the back of that. And I don't remember exactly what it was that I saw or what they talked about. I just know it was something to do with when a lot of seams are meeting at the one point. You know, this can become quite bulky. And so it said to do something. I can't remember for the life of me what it was. But yeah, I mean, this is the back. You can see where everything's kind of meeting. If I can find the rest of the back, here we go. And so what I did after all my rows were put together, I made sure that my seams were also being pressed down. So they're all going in the same direction this way once I got that put together. So you can see all of the little pieces. There was one or two spots where I struggled a little bit, and then I decided I'm just going to leave it. It's hardly noticeable. I'm trying to remember where they are if I can find them, but yeah, lots of little threads all over the place. But yeah, it's looking good. I'm really happy with the way it's coming out. And so I'm kind of just laying it out here, and now I'm ready to just do another row. So are you ready to do another row with me? I know we've got a bunch of quilting experts on there. So if you know what I'm talking about, you know, when you have a lot of seams coming together in the one point, if you've got a tip on that, let me know, because I know that I read it. It must have been in a book or something. Oh, Cindy says, I know a way to reduce bulk when the seams are pressed open, but not a press to one side. Yeah. And see, I know about pressing them open, but I know that I saw it was a tip that I don't know if I read it somewhere. It was an article, it was a book. I don't remember. It was a while ago. And I saw it and I said, well, that's interesting method to kind of reduce your bulk on the point. And like you can kind of feel like there's some that, you know, that you don't feel the bulk, and there's some you kind of do feel the bulk. So use flatter, press open, spin your seams. Spin your seams. Was that it? Spinning the seams. Yes, I think that was what they called it. Spinning the seams. Yes, yes. Now, yay. See, you guys, man, you're awesome. I know that I read something, saw something. It's called spinning the seams. That's what it is. And now I'll have to go back and Google it again and try to see where it was that I read about that. And it talked about reducing the bulk on that. And now I'll have to kind of research that again. And I'll see what I find, and I'll let you guys know on Monday. You love the solid, but you would love to see the prints put together as well. Yeah, and these prints, I mean, If it was yardage that had a print and the print was all the same, then we'd be golden. But because this has so many different colors, it just is way too busy, and you can't make out the star, and it didn't work well with the project. So I'll have to find, I've already made the half square triangle, so I'll have to find something to do with this. I'm sure I'll find something. There's always some kind of project around here. But, you know, I know you guys are, a lot of them, you know, a lot of you guys out there are a lot of quilting experts there. So I know just the fact that I can just kind of mention something and you know what I'm talking about makes me happy. So awesome. Thank you so much, because I was spinning my wheels yesterday and I'm like, I know I read something, but I couldn't remember what it was called. And now I can kind of go back. So thank you. Thanks for helping me on my sewing journey here. Okay. So what are we doing today? We're going to start pinning. So we've got, whoops, I dropped my little bottle here. Okay. We've got another row to add. And so this will be the bottom of the star here. So I'm going to kind of take these other rows, move those over to the side, and let's talk about this bottom one here. So this is what it's going to look like when it's all laid out, right? It's exactly where we need it to be, and we need to kind of pin these together. So what's the best way to do this? Well, first you have the layout and you have it all laid out in front of you. Then I'm just going to put these right sides together and lay it right on top. Okay, this way we know this is the orientation that we need to sew. Okay. Yes, Debbie, spinning the seams absolutely reduces the bulk. And that, for the life of me, I just could not remember that term. You learn something every day from the morning show. Oh, Cindy, you're sweet. And so I know that I had read that, and for the life of me, I just could not remember what the term was called. And I know that I had read about it, I had researched it, and then I couldn't remember anything about it when I needed it. You know, that's why I've got to take my little notebook that Lisa gave me and start jotting these terms down so that I can remember these things, because I'm going to have that as my little glossary. So yeah, but it's wonderful. I'm glad that we're all learning with each other. And, you know, this is what's great about our community. Like, we help each other out when we get stuck, right? Okay, so I'm laying this down, and then what I'm going to do, because when I was putting the rows together, and let me kind of fold it this way so you can see the back side of this quilt. Okay, so we've got the piece that we are now going to lay and sew together, and then this is the existing one that's already sewed. The seams on that last row that we're about to sew to has the seams going down facing me. Okay, so you see the little seams down here, they're facing me, they're all coming down this way. The row that we are about to sew on to the project has the seams going the opposite way. Okay, so the seams are going up this way. Okay, so we've got seams coming down this way, seams going up this way, and we're going to bump that together, and we're going to sew them all together here with a 1/4 inch seam. And you do that by laying it on top, right sides together. All right, so the right of the fabric is bumped up against the right of the fabric here. We are bumping that together, and we're going to do what's called nesting the seams. So if you're new to sewing, nesting the seam is taking those two seams that are now going opposite directions and nesting them together. You're basically bumping them up against each other, and you can feel with your hands as you kind of, let's say I drag this halfway here. Obviously, we're not going to sew it there, right? We want to line up our edges. But if you put your hand on the seam, you put your finger right where the seam line is, and you start pulling your fabric, you're going to feel with your hands right here in that, with your finger you're going to feel when the seam allowance from this row bumps up against the seam allowance to the row that you're attaching. You can literally feel that being locked into place because you're now bumping the two fabrics together. And so when you look at it going this way, you can line it up. Let me pull this over here. And I'll bring this to the desk cam in just a second so you guys can see that. You're going to see here, I'm going to try to do this so you could see. Okay, it's going to be probably a little hard because it's red, but let's see what we can see here. All right, so let me overemphasize. Here's seam going this way. Okay, you can see that seam that I'm picking up. This seam is going this way. And so what we are doing is bumping the seams together. See how it kind of comes together, those two little lines? I can separate them and then I can put them together. When you're pinning them, you need to make sure that those two are bumped up against each other. And you can tell by just kind of putting your fingers just like, I don't know, about a little ½ inch to an inch from the edge here. And then if you pull the fabrics down the right sides, you'll start to see the lines are lined up. See how the lines line up there? That's what you want, because when you turn it back around, you want to make sure that your lines are going to be together and you're hitting that point. So if I pull this down like this, you know, my red line's going to go all the way across. And so that's what you want to do. And so we have to pin it in a way so that it stays like this. Now, just taking a pin and just putting a pin, you know, going down this way is not going to cut it. Because you have to think about what your machine is doing. Your machine has these feet dogs, and those feet dogs are pulling the fabric. But your top of the fabric doesn't have any feet dogs. So unless you're using a walking foot, which would then pull the fabric from the top and the bottom, right? Then you're pulling the fabric evenly here. But if you're not using a walking foot, you just have your sewing machine, the feet dogs are pulling the fabric from the bottom. So the bottom fabric is getting pulled, but the top fabric is just sitting on top. So it could easily misalign and kind of get out of place and not hit your seam the right way. And so you would have a little bit of a gap in between. And that can happen, and sometimes it's really just subtle. And some people will pin the fabric, and that's one thing that I really struggled with. I would pin my fabric and it would still move on me. And I learned that I was not pinning it the correct way. And so, yeah, pinning it in a certain way is a thing, right? So I have certain pins that I use when I'm looking at seams, and I'm going to show you two different ways. So there's one that you can just use a standard pin, you know, and there are fork pins that you can get, and you can see what these two look like. Let me bring these over to the desk cam so you can see the difference here. Oops, let me move that over. So we've got our standard pin. This one's just a long one, but you know, they're just straight pins, you know, and straight pins are fine. They can be done for seams, but they have to be angled in a certain way. And then you have what's called fork pins, and fork pins has these two little prongs here. And the fork pins will hold your fabric so that these are specifically for your seams, so that when you get to those seams where the fabric has to stay exactly in that position, the fork pin will help you to do that because it really locks it into place. So let me just kind of show you how I pin this here. I'm going to grab my first row. Again, we are bumping up the seams, and I would suggest you do this on a flat surface. Don't try to do this on your lap or, you know, with a bunch of fabric or things underneath. It really needs to be a flat surface for you to get the best result. So go ahead and lay it out on a flat surface, put the row on top, nest that seam, and then just kind of gently pick it up take a look on that top edge to make sure that your seams are bumped up against each other. I like to poke my little finger in between to make sure my seams line up. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab, let's start with the straight pin, and I'll show you what we can do here. And I will go down and right back up on my seam. But I'm going to show you how I did that so that it doesn't move. So if we go over to the desk cam, we went down into this seam here and we came back up on this side of the seam. And we did this. You notice that my pin is not straight this way, right? Normally when we're sewing things, you see a lot of people pinning it like this. If you're looking at a seam and you need it to stay exactly where it is, you need to pin it on a diagonal. You cannot just pin it this way, okay? Because if you think about the mechanics of your sewing machine and what it's doing and how it's pulling the fabric, pinning it this way, yes, it can work, but it's not going to hold that point together. There is a risk of it moving and shifting on you. And you don't want that to happen when you're dealing with projects that are specific to points, right? So you definitely want to pin on a diagonal. I'm going down this side of the seam and I'm coming back up on the other side of this. Here's the seam line. I'm coming back up on the other side of the seam. Okay, so down this side, up on this side, on a diagonal. That's how you can use your regular straight pins to hold on to those points. Now, if you have the fork pins, we can try using that one. I'm going to grab one of those. And these are, guys, these are just magic fork pins. And these are the magic, these are the long pins. I think I picked these up at the expo. These are the extra long pins. And these are, I didn't keep the label on that one, but these are the magic fork pins you can pick up. Okay. Now, I'm going to go to my next seam. Now, one thing to note, you should be able to just lay your row out. There's no pulling or tugging or anything like that. If you are pulling and tugging, most likely either you didn't hit your 1/4 inch seam correctly, right? Or didn't get ironed correctly. And so now you're you got to kind of like deal with fabric stretch. You don't want to stretch it too much, because if you stretch it too much, you know, remember, you're warping the fabric and you still have other layers that you need to put together. So if you're stretching one row out, you're not going to line up with the next row. So the best thing to do at that point is to kind of check all your seam allowances, take out your little ruler and look at your seam allowance to see if they are at a 1/4 inch. Okay. If they're not, go back and sew it again. The other thing you want to look at as well, if you're looking at just the top of your seam and you're seeing that this is a 1/4 inch, flip it over and check that bottom fabric underneath it. Is the bottom fabric underneath that seam at the 1/4 inch as well? I had one where, because I was dealing with charm squares, you know, you've got that jagged edge. So it's a little hard to kind of tell you don't have a straight cut, right? I think the red fabric I got from Yardage and I cut. So I've got nice straight lines. But when you're dealing with a charm pack, you've got those jagged edges. And sometimes you got the valleys and the hills that, you know, are just not exactly there. So if you dealt with some of that, you may just be off slightly and you may not be seeing it because it's probably underneath, tucked under this seam. So you flip it in the other way and just check, you can visually see if your fabric is really short and you can see the other side showing that color, then you know that you probably did not capture the bottom fabric when you were sewing that seam. And so it's got to be, you know, take the seam ripper out, you've got to undo it and re-sew that again. Oh, Mr. H pinned a shoppable link for you for the magic fork pins in case you guys are interested. So he's got, you know, the best deals out there, so he'll find them for you. So go ahead and grab those if you're interested in that. So making sure that that is in place, making sure that this is laying nice and flat. And as I lay it flat, I should be able to visually see that I am lined up here. Okay. If you are not, again, check your seams and make sure that they are sewn together. You don't want to pull and tug on this and kind of, you know, force it to go through, because remember, you have multiple rows that you are putting together. And so if you do that, you know, chances are when you do the next row, you're going to have issues. Okay, so let's kind of move this down a little bit. Now I'm just going to use the fork pin. And again, I'm checking my seams. It's laying right on top of each other. And I see everything here looks good. I'm going to go ahead and pin it. I go down and then I come right back up. And the way I use this one, and I'll try to see if I can move it down so I can really show you clearly what this looks like. Okay, let's take a look at how we pin this. And I think this is super important because, you know, no one really showed me how to pin. I didn't know pinning was such an art on how you do it, but you know, it really does help. It helps you. So for the fork pins, okay, again, we've got our seam allowance going all the way across. The fork pins has the two little prongs, right? You want to make sure that one of those prongs is on one side of the seam and the other one is on the other side of the seam. So you are capturing layers on both sides of the seams. That's going to kind of make sure that your fabric is not going to shift, right? You've got both sides of it picked up and forcing it to stay right there. Okay, so making sure that that fork is aligned correctly and that you're picking up both sides there. And that's really going to help you to keep that together. Okay, and then now you're just going to keep moving around, moving kind of down the row here, and we're going to continue to pin these together, and then we're going to take it to our sewing machine and sew this. Now, even with all of this, you know, the other thing, oh, one thing I did forget to mention. Another thing that I like to do, and I did forget to do it here, on the ends, okay, let me shift this over so you guys can see. If we can do it on this camera, it's probably the best one. As you're laying it flat, right, we've already pinned this seam, we've already pinned this seam. The other thing that you have to also look at is the top corner of your fabric here, okay? This one right now, it's willy-nilly here, right? It's just flapping away. But what you don't want is as you start to sew this way, this bottom edge right here can easily be pulled and tugged. And see what's happening here? As I continue to pull and tug, there we go. You need these edges to line up, right? So you don't want this to be pulled in with the pressure of the seam. So we want to make sure as we lay this flat here, and I will just lay this again, you want to make sure that this end is going to stay lined up here. Because when we flip this over, we want a nice straight line going across here. So I will take a pin and I want to make sure that I'm going to pin it so it doesn't move. Now, if I pin it this way, Do you think it's going to move? Absolutely, it can move because you are kind of going the same way. It's just going to slide right off of that pin and it's still going to move on you. So make sure that you are angling your pins in the right direction. In this case, we don't want our fabric to move this way, right? We want to keep this fabric, avoid it from sliding this way. We want to keep it nice and lined up. So if I pin it this way, it's not going to help me any. But if I pin it going the other way, now I've kind of locked it in place where it is not going to shift on me. It's going to stay right where it is. And I usually tend to do this first. Make sure this is nice and even before I start pulling on these, because you don't want to pull. I think we're good here. Okay, so pay really close attention to how you are pinning these things together and making sure that you're locked in on the sides, and then looking at every single seam, whether you use your straight pins and pin it on a diagonal, or if you're using your fork pins. Now, pinning it on the diagonal, depending on how you're going to be sewing this, you want to also make sure that this is not going to move. So when you get to your sewing machine, make sure that you're putting your pressure right on that seam, right? Keep your finger pressure right on the seam. So as you get closer to the needle, when you need to remove that pin, your finger is going to hold down that pressure to now go through the rest of that seam. So really important to do that. So those are the 3 different pins that I'll do. I'll repeat this over on the other end as well. And then I'm going to continue to just pin this all the way across. And that's kind of how I nest my seams and keeping everything in place. This is my preferred method. There's probably all kinds of methods out there on how you nest your seams. And please share if you have a different way of doing it. You know, I'd like to know. So let me know what you guys are working on, because you know, you may have some different strategies, some different methods that you use to do your projects. And it's always fun to kind of share that. So it's pretty cool. Awesome. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and continue to do these. I know we are running low on time, but I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and then I will take it to the sewing machine and finish up the rest of this project. So on Monday, we'll definitely have a completed top. And I'm not sure, I haven't really picked out the backing on this one yet. Not sure if I even have, I may have enough yardage to use this same red as the backing. Not sure if I want to do that just yet. I'll have to see. So I will definitely check that out and see. Now this is nice and flat, and I want to go ahead and pull this pin in here because I don't want this shifting around on me. There we go. So we've got our 2 ends there, and then I'm going to continue to kind of go through each seam and finish it up. You wish you could have seen this when I started quilting. Yeah, Karen. Definitely, you know, the trial and error. Trial and error, my friends. Yes. You know, lots and lots of that, because I can tell you, I was so frustrated that no matter what I did, I could not hit that seam. But, you know, it's all about practice, 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 because even if you do the fork pins, even if you do the pins on a diagonal, it's practice. Practice is what really your body kind of automatically knows what to look for. And, you know, every single quilt project is a little bit different, right? So you really have to kind of know what to look out for and know where you can kind of find the method that works for you, because everyone works a little bit different. So you have to kind of play around with all kinds of different tips that you see in here. Give them all a try, because you don't know which one's going to work for you. So some people have issues with their hands, and so maybe this can be difficult, and they may find different things, right? It's kind of like the song says, right? Laughter, tips, and tricks is what you need. I think Mr. H kind of nailed that right on the head, right? So, you know, it's really nice to kind of try the different methods, even if you're not sure if that's going to work, or maybe it didn't work out the first time you did it. You know, you got to give it a try, and, you know, try it a couple times before you settle down and say, okay, this method's not for me, right? You definitely have got to kind of look at a couple of things. And so now that I've got all of this almost done, got one more seam, and I'm kind of feeling it with my finger. There it is. It just locked in place. And I'm going to grab my pin here. And some of these can be very tricky, because not only, like, these are kind of a little easier. You've only got a seam going across, and you've got two fabrics just kind of bumping up. But where you have these triangles, especially on this point right here in the middle, you've got triangle coming in this way, triangle coming in this way, seam coming in this way. They're all lining up to this one point. So you really have to kind of look to make sure, am I hitting that point completely? All right, you want to make sure that you are hitting that, and it's all coming aligned together, and that pin is going to hold all these points and hit it right on your sewing machine, because you are going to be sewing a 1/4 inch seam. So you're coming in just a tad there, and you're hoping that you're going to hit that point on all the sides, right? So take it really slow as you go on to your sewing machine. And this is where Miss Molly is working like a dream for me, because I struggled not having the straight stitch machine, hitting the points, and it's just been so much easier now, because the bottom teeth pull the fabric and really hold it in place so well. And my other machine didn't really hold it very well, so it was really relying on me really clamping down and holding the fabric in place, because the teeth were pulling, but it wasn't very strong. And the teeth in this machine is pure metal, so it's really strong, and it really holds the fabric in place. So when I put that foot down right where I want it, I know it's going to stay there. It's not going to move around on me. So yeah, but we are out of time, and I know that I've got this all pinned in place, and I hope this really helps out with a lot of you out there in terms of pinning. I'm just going to go ahead and start sewing the last couple of rows, and you can see here where all of my points are hitting. And I think, you know, it's really nice to be able to kind of, oops, I'm pinned over here. It's really nice to kind of enjoy when you're finishing a project and you're looking at all your points and how they've hit, and makes you so proud and so happy to be able to hit those points. But practice, practice, practice. If it didn't come out the way you wanted, you always have that seam ripper. Go ahead and rip it out and try it again. But try to use those tips. I hope that they're able to help you guys. And let me know if you enjoyed the tips. Go ahead and hit the like button on the video, because that really helps us out and lets me know that you guys enjoyed the content and it helped you out as well. Lisa says, Nancy, that was a great explanation of how to pin. Awesome job. Well, thank you, Lisa. Awesome. I hope that it was clear and it helped someone out. I know I could have used it myself a number of times, but I hope that really helps you out on how to put this together. And I'm going to go ahead and finish up the rows, and on Monday I will show you the finished top. Okay, we are almost out of time. Let's run over. Let's do our inspirational quote of the day. Okay, today's quote of the day is, "Every stitch tells a story of time, patience, and commitment to finishing strong." That's exactly what we did today. We finished strong, and we are liking what we have today. So it's really amazing. I'm really excited about it, and I can't wait to show you the finished one on Monday. So stay tuned for that. Okay, guys, I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend, and I thank you so much for all of your support. You guys are amazing, and I really love you guys coming in and, you know, sharing my little sewing journey with me. Thank you guys again for tuning in, and again, hope you have a fantastic weekend, and I hope to be crafting with you soon. Bye, everyone.
So long for now, so long. Glad you stayed a while. Hope you liked my crafting style. Hope I left you with a smile. By now, keep your mind and space clutter-free. Hope your day is bright as can be. So long, my friends, till we craft once again. Bye now, stay crafting. See you tomorrow. So long, my friends, till we craft once again.